What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Film Room, where I, Travis Mewhirter, break down some film. You guys have seemed to really enjoy it. Started with a Zoom call that I did with a club in Tallahassee, and then I broke down my favorite block that Anders Mole has ever done, out of thousands that he's ever done. And now this week on Film Room, we're going to be taking a look at Kristen Nuss and Taryn, their Olympic matchup in pool play with Canadians Sophie Bukovec and Heather Bansley. How did I pick this match, you might be asking? So we have a player on our team at Florida State, Addie White. She is built very similar, kind of a tweener between a Kristen and a Heather. And so we didn't have much film to watch of her because she hasn't been able to compete yet this season. And so I said, let's watch these two and we can learn quite a bit. And she did. And I did as well. And so I've actually already watched this film. And so that's going to make it a little bit easier for me to break it down. So enjoy this breakdown. We're going to focus mostly on Kristen's defense, Heather's defense, and a little bit of team strategy. But for the most part, Sophie and Taryn going to get kind of ignored in this one. I'll mention them a little bit, but we're looking mainly at the defense from two players who in the past decade have virtually owned the Defensive Player of the Year nods from their peers. And so two of the best to ever do it defensively, Heather Bansley and Kristen Nuss. Let's get to it. All right. So this is the Paris Olympic Games. All right. So first pool play match between these two. Olympic debut for three of the players on the court. And Heather, of course, is a veteran in these scenarios. But let's get to it. Nice shot there from Taryn. So the two main things that we're going to be looking at in this video is the defense of Heather Bansley. And look how still she is, right? So she starts to lean. This is a late angle block from Sophie. Sophie goes a little bit early. You can see her kind of in the angle, and Heather's going to move line. So Sophie's sort of, this is where the blockers can kind of hang the defenders out to dry. You see, Heather's just sort of starting to make her move, but Sophie's all the way in the angle. Now, Sophie, if we go back a little bit, you can see how low she gets, right? So she's so low and out of sight, and that's a good thing for smaller blockers. And Sophie, 6'1", she's not a smaller blocker, but for any small blockers out there or anybody who wants to be hidden, this right here is how you get out of sight. They have no idea she's there, and she just pops up, peekaboo. But it was her lineup that kind of gave away that was going to be an angle block. Really smart shot from Taryn. Now it's this defense from Kristen. Now this is a late move from Kristen Taryn. Taryn getting out of here early. See, one, the sand in Paris was really deep. And Heather's a really physical player. She swings probably on a 70-30 swing to shot ratio. And you can see that Taryn, she's getting out of here. Tape swing, just out of boundaries. Wicked. That is a wicked serve from Kristen. Look, watch the movement. So this is going to start here. Then watch this wiggle all the way back and drop. Got it. Mikasas. Tough to play with, ladies and gentlemen. Sophie, one of the better jump servers out there. I like her going for it. All right, so this is one thing we're going to do. We're going to be taking a bunch of screenshots of Kristen's defense. All right, and then we're going to go review all of them. So the cue that we're going to come back to, the one that me and Addie came back to, is B-board. Board defense is good defense. Now look how still Kristen is, and watch how still she stays. Shoot. Apologies. Got ahead of myself. Here we go. So she's going to stay this still the whole time. Look at it. I mean, the ball's being contacted. Hands are still separate, and she's in the same spot, right? And that forces Heather to try to make a perfect shot. Credit to Taryn, taking away her space. Oh, she got a touch. Again, strategy seems to be in play. These are dive angles. And again, I think that Sophie is a little bit too far in the angle. So you see Heather's making this move real late. Sophie's already out in the angle. Now, I don't know how this play is going to end. If Taryn sees it right, which she usually does, because vision is a big part of the foundation of what this team does with head coach Drew Hamilton. Huge credit to him. Magnificent coach. Great guy. And Taryn hits a kind of a muffin into the seam. And then now let's look at Kristen. I mean, look at Nuss right there. Again, we're going to take a screenshot. That looks the exact same. And she just stands there. She's not doing anything tricky. Now, even if that didn't hit the net, Kristen was right on it. So that board defense from Kristen Nuss. Again, we're going to come back to that over and over and over again. Pressure stays on Bansley. Nuss, again, would you look at that? Same exact positioning, kind of sitting in this pocket. Again, deep sand. We're giving up perfect cut shot. So as a defense, you got to know, what are we giving up? And right now, we're giving up perfect cut shot. Kristen's taking kind of these pocket angle swings, and she is close enough to the line where she can chase down an imperfect high line. And there's Taryn, perfect lineup. Kristen shifting in, Taryn again, perfect lineup, good cover, and Taryn dunk. Thank you very much. So nothing fancy so far on the half of Kristen and Taryn. Pretty straight line block. Kristen just sitting in the pocket. Again, look at this screenshot. This is a perfect defensive position. Look how balanced she is. Her legs perfectly balanced, arms out, paddles out, as Nick Lucena says. Taryn, a little bit of a late pull. Kristen was feeling a nice chop into the seam there from Heather. Now let's see if the theme holds true here. A little bit out of system, so maybe it's different, but the strategy from Canada seems to be, let's block angle on Taryn virtually at all costs. Blocking angle again. Taryn dunking that one. Gets away with kind of a sloppy, not a perfect shot, but that's what height gets you. Fast, flat angle. Heather almost makes a really nice dig on that. So strategy-wise, so far, United States blocking line, Kristen sitting pocket, Canada blocking a lot of angle. Taryn, really nice job shuffling out. This is a really difficult play to make, actually, and it's deceivingly difficult. So this set, you can see it's going to drift outside the antenna, right? And so watch how Taryn, she's going to shape her block so everything's going back into the court. And that's a really hard thing to teach young blockers, because you think you really want to hook. Your tendency is to hook this left hand so it's facing back out of the court. But really what you want to do is you're going to shape everything to go back this way so the block goes into the court. And that's a really nice shot from Heather. And actually, I think Kristen, this is a really rare kind of error in positioning from Kristen. So the set's outside the antenna. This is blocked off. This area is blocked off. Kristen has no reason to be here, right? Because Taryn's sealing this window. So Kristen really should have shuffled it further into the angle. And she knows that. And that's Heather gets away. She makes as good of a swing as she could. That said, she had limited options. So that's a lucky play from Canada. Credit to them, they created, and actually you can see Kristen's reaction. Watch this, she knows it. Hand immediately up. Sorry, Taryn, that's me. Taryn saying, "You're cool. You're the defense player and best defense player in the world. Totally fine." Let's see if Canada will run another angle block. Sophie, really nice block load. This block load's awesome. Sophie's probably one of my favorite block loads in the world. I mean, she is literally, you can't even see her behind Kristen. And boop, so explosive. And Taryn just hits a perfect line shot. It's insane. Great shot from Taryn. Anything less than perfect, they dig. Great lineup from Sophie. And we see, so 5 was the call for Canada. We're not going to get a look at what they actually do because Sophie missed it. All right, let's take a look at Kristen. Shuffled in. Look how balanced she is. Again, deep pocket. Wouldn't you know it? Right to her. Good cover. Taryn, let's get funky. Lefty, out of boundaries. But the opportunity was created. So as a defensive team, your main job really is to limit their first ball side outs. If you can limit their first ball side outs to less than 50%, you're giving yourself a chance on 50% of their offensive opportunities. You can't ask for anything more than that. And so that's a good chance for the United States, especially because Taryn's actually pretty good with the left hand. Oh my gosh. I know that this is supposed to be kind of a defensive thing, but this watch out. So the space that Kristen creates, you always want to have space away from your body when you're passing, because then you can manipulate the ball and sort of steer it. I always compare your platform to a steering wheel, and the further away your platform is from your body, controlled, of course, you can still get it on that sweet spot in your forearms. Look at the space creation from Kristen, and then she just steers it right back. Perfect. Now let's see if Canada, so it's an early angle block. And this is something we're going to see a lot from Canada strategy-wise. Sophie is way in the angle. And so what she's doing, she's giving up angle swing because she knows that Kristen, 5'6", a little bit limited, power's not her game. We're giving up angle swing. Sophie's just going to go high for this cut shot for the high angle. And look how far into the seam Heather's sitting. So what Heather's playing for is any kind of line shot. So she's going to be looking for the high line dig and the sort of baby line that Kristen's really good at. And they're giving up line swing and they're giving up sort of a hard, deep angle swing, neither of which are Kristen's tendencies. And so I like that setup from Canada a lot. Gets Kristen to make an error. And so now I think we're going to see a change in service pressure going to Kristen. Again, big angle block. Sophie way out there. Left hand is even off the ball, off Kristen's hand. Heather sitting again in this sort of seam pocket area, waiting for any kind of line shot, giving up line swing. And they make Kristen hit another error. So those are not going to go in the stat book for Canada, right? Because they're errors. But those are shots altered. I think that those errors are caused by what Canada's doing defensively. Again, we're going back to Kristen into the seam. And wouldn't you know it, Sophie way in the angle. Heather sitting in that pocket, waiting for the line shot, scoops it up. Great job. And there's Kristen. Let's go back and have a look at the board defense of Kristen Nuss. That is beautiful. Screenshot because it looks the exact same. She waits, doesn't move until after the ball is contacted. Excellent job, Kristen. But again, excellent job from Canada. Not a first ball side out. You've done your job. You gave yourself an opportunity. Back to Bansley. Back set. I love that move. Off contact. I know she was moving, but look at where she is on contact. Balanced, settled. Taryn giving up a little bit of line sliver. Really nice job from Heather. And that's the advantage you get from back set. When the blocker is fading sort of with the play. Watch, so Taryn, she's got to be going left, left, left. She does a really nice job getting balanced, but anytime you're moving the play around and you don't know where the defense is, hit with the direction and the flow of the play because you're going to be the blocker's outside hand, which in this case was Taryn's hand, is going to be just on average a little bit less set. And so Taryn drifting a little bit inside, Heather taking advantage, really nicely done. Good offensive design from Canada. Again, working Kristen's seam. Sophie, a little bit more neutral, but Heather in that same spot, giving up line swing. Nice job from Soph. Good chance for Canada. They were down 9-5 at once. Oh, and they can't capitalize. Let's go back to Kristen. Let's look at how bored she, I mean, just look at the setup. It's the exact same setup. She is just letting the play come to her, still on contact. Taryn, that lefty option goes down, and now they preserve their 3-point lead. Sticking on Bansley. Kristen, look at this. Board. You guys are going to crack up when you see all these screenshots. It's the same exact setup. Point of contact, what's she doing? Still waiting to make that break, giving up perfect shot. Heather tries to make it perfect, out of boundaries. United States extends it to 4. Wicked. Holy moly. I mean, watch this thing bow. This is going to start kind of on Taryn's right shoulder and end almost at Kristen's left knee. Look at that. There it goes. Nasty. Another one. I mean, this is ridiculous. So Heather, and for those of you guys who haven't played with Mikasa, and those of you guys who do play with Mikasas, there is no way to control, at least not a way that I know, of which way this thing floats. You just hit this thing with 0 spin, and it's going to knuckle and dive and dance and dip and duck and dodge however it wants to. And now watch this. This one, so the last one, remember, started here, drifted here. This one is going to start on Taryn's right shoulder and even go further. And it's another ace. Service pressure. It can help you out. Kristen again working out of the seam. Heather again holding that seam pocket. This time she breaks late into the angle. Kristen somehow sees it. I don't know how she sees any of this. Look at this. At her look, Heather's just sitting there. And I think it might be a situation where it's a different look from the blocker. So Sophie's now neutral. Remember when she was blocking angle, she was so far into the angle. And so now that she's more neutral, so Kristen might have been using where Sophie's lineup was. And that's how she had a pretty educated guess that that line was going to be open. Either way, Kristen is one of the most exquisite vision players on the planet, maybe to ever live. Kristen, Ford, same exact look. It's crazy. And it's amazing how often she just gets hit. She doesn't have to move. Look at that. She doesn't change position. Nice patient approach. Heather, nicely done. Again, this is a better, remember that first play where Sophie sort of sold out Heather. This time she doesn't do this. So this is a dive angle block from Sophie. Neutral lineup. Heather, nice and patient in the angle at the last second. Heather breaks. Nice calm dig. Does she get a touchy? No, she doesn't. We might have an argument, and indeed we do. We have a challenge. I don't know who wins this. Oh, Taryn calls it. So Taryn, nice job. Now again, Sophie a little bit neutral. Heather just hanging in that deep seam. So this is a strategy thing, right? So they're going on tendencies. There's no shortage of film on Kristen and Taryn. And so Heather is just holding and waiting for shots. And Sophie does a nice, wow, I mean, this is so athletic. So Sophie's way down, doesn't show anything. And look at this move. Look at her arms. She's way up there, waiting for shot. Again, she's delaying and delaying. And so she's giving up swing. Kristen, beautiful lift. Just passing that little nugget to Taryn for the option. But Canada is not making this easy. I mean, the United States has had control of this match for 95% of it, but Canada's making them work. First ball side outs for both teams have come at a premium. Kristen, it's just the same exact look every time. And you might be sitting there wondering, shouldn't they be mixing up the calls? Shouldn't they be doing this? It's working. How many first ball side outs have we seen from Heather and Sophie? Not a lot. And so Kristen and Taryn are just playing to their strengths, making Heather go way high over Taryn. Taryn's giving up line swing, right? She's delaying, waiting. Kristen is taking that kind of pocket and they're giving up perfect line shot and they're giving up an angle chop. That one goes into the net, trying to be perfect. Shot altered for the United States. Back to Bansley, pinning her on her line. And wouldn't you know it? I mean, this is the balance from Kristen. Be bored, everyone. She just looks so bored and balanced back there. And that is a tremendous swing from Heather, just inside that little gap between Taryn's inside hand. Sophie back to going way into the angle. Heather now back to defending those lines. Nice job, Soph. Again, they're limiting the first ball side out. Your job as a defense has been done. You're just making life difficult. And they are making life difficult on Kristen and Taryn. Their first ball side out rate remarkably low. Now, Kristen, this is so remember that play earlier, right? Set goes outside the antenna. What did Kristen do? She held in the seam. This time you see her shuffling in because Heather she doesn't have that seam available. Kristen gets balanced, was able to run that shot down if they needed it. Nicely done. Good adjustment, good recognition from Kristen. Again, maybe you guys are getting sick of these screenshots. I'm not getting sick of them because we're going to review these after and it's going to be hilarious. So again, Kristen, nice and balanced. At Florida State, we say we give up perfect. Kristen's giving up perfect. Anything that just walks the dog along the net and goes down, we're going to give that up. That's an unsustainable shot. If that's what you're making teams do to score, you've done your job. Now shifting to Taryn. And this is big angle block again. I mean, this has been about 60-40 angle to line block for Canada. And so Sophie's going to go way high again. Heather giving up the Yahtzee line, and she's going to take any mistake line swing that Taryn has. But Taryn sees it so well. Beautifully done. That's what Canada is giving up. They're giving up a perfect cut shot, and that's just what Taryn rather hit. This is the first real switch we've seen from the United States. And again, so they make this look the same. Now, Taryn, she chases the set in a little bit, and Kristen waits as long as she can to move for the line shot. Nice job getting stopped. Watch how Kristen gets stopped. Pauses. Look at that, puts on the brakes. Nice controlled pass. Gets her approach, waits. Here she goes. Sophie, way into the angle. Heather's probably going to shift in here late, looking for line. And Kristen, she's seen this movie before, saying cut shots open. Kristen again, even when the blocker's pulling. So blocker's pulling, Kristen has a little shift seam, but again, look at this balance. She is so balanced, can go left, can go right, can do whatever she needs to do. Taryn just with a late pull. Heather doing a nice job chopping that, making it too fast for Taryn to dig. Second set point. Looks like a more normal line block here from Canada. Heather hanging in that seam pocket, giving up perfect cut, giving up angle swing. And Kristen hits that line shot wide. Again, we're giving up perfect. Kristen tries to be perfect. Error. How many times have we seen someone error because they're trying to be perfect? Heather, nice break. Good balance. Again, she's hanging out in this seam, right? So that's the strategy for Canada. We're hanging out in the seam and we're digging down imperfect shots. That one, money still gets a hand on it. Both teams doing a great job minimizing first ball side outs. Set number two. So Kristen scooching in. She sees poke come out, ready to run down shot. I want to give Taryn some love here. Waiting, waiting, waiting. Dunk. Nice cover from Soph. Nicely done. And Heather, I'm intrigued because Heather's only won one back set. She's gotten every single serve so far. Sophie literally hasn't touched the ball on offense. And she's 1 for 1 on back sets, but she keeps running this kind of two area of the net. And it hasn't been super effective. And again, Kristen just waiting. This is the same exact position. And the ball goes right into the platform. Nicely done. Smooth, calm approach. Heather, she's seen this cut shot once or twice. Nicely done. And Kristen back into that pocket. Kind of a sloppy line shot, takes advantage. And that's the point of that's what good defenders do. You take advantage of the slop. You take advantage of mistakes. And that's exactly what Kristen did on the first one. That's what Heather did. That's what Kristen did again. Nice chop. Sophie trying to make a play pulling. I like her trying that because she's just been frozen out. And now Sophie, this looks like a more normal line block. Sophie getting way out into the line. Heather shifting late into Kristen's favorite Cuddy. We give up perfect. Kristen tries to be perfect. Another error. So a little bit of slop here from both teams offensively, but that's a credit to the pressure that both Canada and the United States are doing defensively. A little bit more of a line block. Now, Sophie looks like this is a read into the angle, getting that left hand on the ball, right hand on the line, trying to go real high. Taryn's just taller. Nice job. Mrs. Brasher, the newly married Taryn Kloth. Wow. Phenomenal serve. Again, they're trying to pin Heather into this area, and she's taking the invitations. Now, again, set goes a little bit outside the antenna. Watch how Taryn, she shapes her hands back into the court. Awesome. Because if she were to hook it, Heather could just tool her out of bounds this way every time. Taryn, great job shaping it this way. That's why it goes back into the court. Smart cover from Soph. First time touching the ball. Yahtzee! I mean, this is a big swing there, Soph. Well done. She's fired up. I'm fired up for you. Kristen, great spacing on the platform. Watch the space. Oh, it's beautiful. That is freaking awesome. Awesome pass. Soph starts in the line, dive and angle. Heather's going to move in for the line shot. Kristen, I've seen it before. Cuddy. Now, I'll be interested to see. I know I've watched this a couple times already, but I don't even remember if Canada changes their strategy because at the moment, it's not working now. So Kristen's just going to keep hitting cut shots. Heck yeah, Sophie. Nice job inserting herself into the match. Second straight kill for Soph. Great spacing on the platform from Kristen. So this looks like a more normal line block. Heather, I give Canada credit. Now Heather's playing for this cut shot, just runs right to it, but Kristen's cutty just too good. Again, we give up perfect. We dig mistakes. It's not a mistake from Kristen. That's an excellent cut shot. And Sophie, again, now she's pressing a little bit. This one might be a little bit too far. She kind of broad jumps. And even if that went over the net, Taryn was throwing that one down. I think this might be where the wheels start to come off for Canada. And I actually really like Heather running a back set here while Sophie. So since Sophie has established the option, Taryn has to respect it, right? And she does. Now, Sophie had sort of done a hesitation, faked the option, and then back set Heather. Heather's got an open net. And now it's just a one-on-one with her and Kristen. And as good as Kristen is, I think Heather's going to win that 90% of the time. There might have been a little bit forced option. I can't blame Sophie for it because she's had two swings, killed them both, and she's just looking for opportunities to score. And that's what good players do. That's what she should be doing. Set kind of a little bit drifty outside the antenna. Now watch now Taryn. Awesome job. Kristen waiting right on it. Look how smooth this is. She just it's easy. Stops, controlled dig, controlled approach. Again, Sophie in the angle. Heather, nice job. Watch the balance of Heather. Ready to run down any shot. One of the more imperfect shots you're going to see from Kristen. Nice lineup from Taryn. Watch this big step out saying, I got high line, I got high line. Yes, I sure do. That's an excellent block from Taryn. Now, blockers, make this note. So a lot of blockers, they don't want to do this. They think, oh, I'm way too far away from the ball. But if you're just playing for the high line, get out there, cover your high line, and let your defender just work around you here. She makes her go so high, and she still can't get it over. That's a great block from Taryn. Again, pinning her on her line. Kristen shifting into the Sharpie. Heather trying, taking the bait. No good. And this is where the defensive pressure, this is where Kristen and Taryn they really shine sort of at this period in the matches because anyone at the World Tour level, they can hang with them for that first set and they can be playing superb, but it's the question of can you sustain it? And it's so hard for teams to sustain their offensive consistency against a team that applies as much defensive pressure as Kristen and Taryn do. And that's why you start to see them sort of gift errors to Kristen Taryn so much in the second set and so much in the third because you try to be so perfect and at some point you just start to break. And this is what we're going to start seeing from Canada is that the pressure is going to start to break them. That's a really nice high line from Heather, but watch Kristen. Balanced, balanced, balanced. Screenshot. Now watch Kristen waits, waits, waits. And she just smooth. Nice lob to Taryn. Taryn's got a shot. Sophie, It's tough because Sophie, I mean, how many times did it touch her platform? Not many. Kind of messes up a relatively easy play to make there. Again, it's just the defensive pressure. Sophie now looking for green light, any option unavailable. Kristen doing a nice job. She's seen two angle options already. Sees the option coming again, shifts in there. Would have had it if it was in. It wasn't. Another error, another gift for the United States. They'll gladly take it. And now here's the backside. I've been waiting for Heather to run it. But again, who is there? Bored as all get out. Kristen Nuss. Same exact position on the court. Hits it right to her. And this is what good defenders do. And so a lot of people, I remember the example, maybe I'll break this film down next, is when Taylor Crabb and Jake Gibb played Phil Dahlhauser and Nick Lucena in the Manhattan Finals. Taylor put together one of the single most dominant matches I've seen from anyone. And one of the things that someone said was, well, anybody could do it. Nick was hitting it right at him. But it's Taylor's job to put himself in those positions to be hit. And that's exactly what Kristen is doing here, where it's easy for fans to say, well, Heather's just hitting it right at Kristen. I could make that play. But the difference is that you wouldn't be in that position. And so Kristen is putting herself in all these positions, and she's just patiently waiting and waiting for these imperfect shots and these imperfect swings. She knows what the tendencies are, and she's making the plays. And that's an excellent chop down the line from Kristen. This pressure is intense. Nice pass there from Heather. Again, Kristen, same exact position. Now, if you're Heather, you're thinking, all right, this deep pocket isn't working. I haven't gotten a high line over Taryn. I got to go a little bit sharper. Instead, she goes right at Kristen again. Now, and Heather packing heat. This really is a nice volleyball swing, but Kristen just makes an awesome play. Scoop right to Taryn. Nice job from Heather and Sophie to make a play on it. But again, I just don't think this is going to work. Oh, they get an error. Gift from the gods for Canada. Credit to them for making them play it. Again, this space on the platform from Kristen. This is awesome. Watch the spacing between platform and belly button. It is awesome. She is never going to get jammed. That is a beautiful platform. This time, Sophie taking line. Heather, again, sticking in that deep seam. Now, it's easy to say, well, the defense isn't working for Canada anymore, but it is. They just haven't been on defense much. Their offense has been struggling. So Heather, nice and balanced, able to get a good touch on that. Doesn't make the play, but still, I do like the defensive setup from Canada. Taryn, nice job. So watch what Taryn does. She's recognizing that Sophie is getting a little bit more aggressive. Look at the eyes. She's watching the setter. She knows Heather's out here. And then she shuffles, gets nice and still. She's not swing blocking. She's not out of balance. Puts up a nice block. Oh, look who's there. Kristen Nuss. And then, oh, and Kristen, again, nice and bored. Makes a late break on it. And then, poof. We'll just call that a whoopsies. And this is sort of a, I like this. This is a double up in the line, right? So Heather, again, cruising, deep seam. Sophie, in that same sort of extreme, I'm taking high line and high line only, gets, it doesn't get a touch, but makes Kristen go so high. Now, can she finish? Yes, she can. Now, this is, I like Heather on the right. That wrist away from the right is pretty nasty. She's 2 for 2 on those. I'd like to see her keep working back sets and keep working her way to the right because it's working. Nice break from Heather. Back on the right, open net into the seam. Kristen again. I don't care if y'all are tired of it. Look at how still and balanced she is. Makes that dig look easy. I can assure you it's not. And then open hand tippy. Canada's point. So Canada's starting to bring back some pressure. And now it's Kristen making the errors. And so Heather doing a nice job disrupting. So no matter what look Sophie has thrown them, Heather has given them the same exact look, deep seam chilling. And at the last second, she breaks in for that cut shot, giving up the high line. Doesn't get it. And I think that this was sort of an accident going at Taryn because Kristen had given up a few. Taryn hits a perfect shot. Kristen, same exact position. She's bored. And wouldn't you know it, in the perfect position to get hit, Heather plays the ball 2 feet out of bounds. Unfortunate. Less fortunate for the United States. Nice job, Heather, tooling that swing. But again, Kristen, perfect positioning. Heather again, hanging. Sophie taking high line. Heather probably going to be waiting for the shot. Nice job getting a touch. Still a first ball side out, but Heather just getting these touches. It's kind of mental warfare, right? Because this is a magnificent line shot, really, and Heather still gets a touch on it. So it's this balance from both of them and just waiting and reacting to the shot that they do such a nice job of. I love this route from Sophie. Watch Sophie. So she sees Heather's getting served. Now, we call this a C route, right? Because it's going to look like a C where the option player or setter kicks out wide. So now we can kind of step close. Now, Sophie, she's optioned angle twice. You can see Kristen stepping in angle. Sophie, beautiful swing. Nicely job. Nicely job. What am I saying? Words are hard. Nice job. So Canada's done an excellent job. Remember, they were down 11-4. And so they're on an 8-4 run of their own to bring this back within striking distance. Beautiful spacing. Again, look at this platform. Are you kidding me? Best passer in the world, Kristen Nuss. Soph taking high, high, high line. Heather waiting to react for shot. Nice touch from Sophie. And now it's Sophie's turn to kind of boof the soft block hit. Set drifting outside the antenna. And Kristen, again, it's kind of weird to see her do this. Doesn't shift, but Heather makes a nice little field goal swing. And I say it's kind of weird for her to do this because I would have expected Kristen, again, Taryn has this covered. I would expect her to shift in for that sort of out of flow wrist away from Heather. She doesn't. And Heather does a nice job staying aggressive, field goal in that swing through Taryn. Beautiful pass from Kristen. And I love this. This is what we want to teach our blockers at Florida State, honestly. Watch this big step. Big into the angle. I'm taking cut. I'm taking high angle. Heather giving up line swing, waiting for line shot. Scoops. Big chance. This is to bring it within two at the Olympic Games. Big swing in transition, and it goes wide. Oh, what a chance. And that's sort of been the theme. Both teams not having a great side out match, right? And that's because of the defensive pressure that they're both putting on them. It's just been that Kristen and Taryn have been more efficient in transition. But Heather and Sophie, they're giving themselves chances. And that's all you can really ask for from a defensive standpoint. Back set. I love when Heather runs these back sets. Nice rip. Kristen cruising in that sort of pocket seam. Oh, how does this go down? And Sophie they're both sort of creeping way in. And so Kristen really didn't have to hit a very good shot. And then jumbo middle is not something that goes down very much. I thought Canada anticipated, thought maybe Taryn got a touch on that. She didn't. That might be what Heather's talking to the ref about. Indeed, it is. And they might challenge here. They thought that Taryn touched it. Taryn said no. Challenged, unsuccessful. And now Sophie option, kind of forcing it a little bit. Bit of a panic play from Taryn. I want to get back to this dig from Kristen. Now, I'm wondering, so she gets nice and still. I don't know what she sees here, to be totally honest, because Sophie has optioned angle, 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 and angle. And now Kristen, for whatever reason, shifts into the line to scoop up a short pokey. Now, I don't know what happened there with Taryn. Love this back set move from Heather. Look at this. This is, vintage Kristen. Boom. Screen, shot. Same exact position. Hits her right in the perfect platform. Oh, got her. And you can look at Sophie looking back. This is the first time that Heather's done this. So Sophie blocking extreme line, saying, I got high line, got high line, got high line. And Heather running to high line. Whoops. And Sophie's looking back like, oh, defender. But for Heather, you got to take a chance every now and then. She does, especially they were down the score bugs wrong. They're down 20 to 13. Great match for Kristen and Taryn. And really, defensively speaking, a good match for Canada. They just had a little bit of trouble putting them away in transition. I don't have the stats on it, but I think their transition rate was lower. Their side out was a little bit lower. And so I want you guys to take away the what Kristen did defensively. Now let's look at all these screenshots that I have. This is going to be fun. All right. So Kristen's positioning. Let's just cycle through these. Same exact look every single time. These are all different plays. And yet she looks the exact same. This is what it is. Greatness is consistency, ladies and gentlemen. And this is just consistently perfect, balanced defense. I mean, it's the same. It is the same thing every single time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Kristen Nuss is one of the best already, two-time Defensive Player of the Year in her rookie and sophomore years on the Beach Pro Tour, already an Olympian, already one of the best. I'm not going to say one of the best to ever do it, but she's certainly in this generation. She's the standard bearer for what it is to be an elite defensive player. So that'll do it for today's film room. I'll keep trying to do these as much as I can throughout the Florida State season, but expect much more to come in the summers when I'm commentating Beach Pro Tour season for Volleyball TV. And I'm just going to get as many to you as I can while still, being a coach. But again, doing these little film rooms, they help me as a coach because I can look at this and like, all right, well, this is what Kristen does on defense. She makes it look the exact same thing. She's super balanced, and that's what we're gonna get our girls to do at Florida State. The lineups from Sophie, I love them. The lineups from Taryn, I love them. Heather's balance, just cruising in the scene, waiting for a shot. I love that too. So there's so many good things to take away. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if there's anything specific you want to watch. So until next time, shoots.